Chevalier of Tears. Link to it is in the description below. But back to the Archer. This thing was truly a self-propelled anti-tank gun by the book. Basically, it's a very effective but very heavy 17-pounder anti-tank gun mounted on the chassis of the by then completely obsolete Valentine infantry tank. Just as in the game, the gun was facing backwards over the engine compartment, which in real life actually made for a rather successful ambush vehicle. Thanks to its low profile, it could remain undetected in position until the target was in sight, then take the shot and then just casually drive off without having to turn around. Quite cheeky actually. It did see plenty of service during the European campaign in the second half of the Second World War, with 655 units produced in total. After the war, the surviving tank destroyers did see further service with the Egyptian army, and they were used again in combat during the Suez Crisis in 1956. So, bit of a history to it actually, but what about the armor profile on it? Well, are you ready for the most pointless armor viewer section of a tank review ever? Ta-da! Yep, this thing has 20mm of armor at most, so let's just simply forget that you are driving in an armored vehicle. Alright, so this concludes the very quick intro for this machine. Let's finally jump into it and see how you can actually make it work. Alright, so here we are in our Archer, a hipster tank destroyer of World of Tanks, this time around in a standard battle on the Serene Coast map. Now, the most unique feature of this machine is that the gun is actually placed over the engine to the back of the machine, which really means that you have to drive this thing backwards. Going forward, you have a top speed of only 12 km per hour, which is absolutely horrible. Going backwards though, you have at least a 32 km per hour top speed, which is about alright, but it's not amazing. You also have rather bad power to weight ratio, only 12 horsepower per ton, but at least the terrain resistances are not awful, so overall this really isn't a fast machine. And the main problem with it is, of course, you can't really use it as an assault gun. Just imagine trying to advance on somebody. Going forward at 12 km per hour really won't help you, they will outmaneuver you, you can't catch anyone. And if you are going backwards, well, as soon as you want to shoot somebody you actually have to stop and turn around, which is just weird and highly ineffective. So really this thing is a one-trick pony. What you have to realize is that the gun is actually pretty damn good at it. This is a 76mm that fires over 13 rounds a minute with 171 base penetration and 150 average alpha damage, which is great news if you can shoot at the sides of OIs. Now this thing will see tier 7s as well, as unfortunately is the case in this match too, so there is actually a lot in this match which we will have trouble penetrating frontally, including some of those tier 6s. Now luckily this thing also has quite nice APCR shells which have, if I'm not mistaken, 236mm of pen, so it's highly suggested that you take a couple of rounds in case you will have to shoot at more heavily armored frontally, which is really what will happen in a lot of cases because this thing is a true support tank destroyer that really excels at long range. As you are getting to mid-range where you are also detected and being shot at, it really starts to struggle. Considering that it doesn't have a turret, and how awkward getting around in this thing is, you can't really corner fight, and once you are revealed in the open, you can run, but you can't do it very fast either. The best thing that you can really do in this machine is to really just set up shop in a good position with good lines of fire and then blast away at the enemy. And if you can do so, you will actually have surprisingly good results with it. Now of course the problem is, this opportunity just won't be available in every single game, so there will be quite a lot of frustration involved driving this thing as well, I'm afraid. as far as the gun handling goes, the accuracy is not too bad, 0.35 meters. You will of course miss a couple of shells at long ranges, as we did see there as well. And the aim time is alrightish as well, 2.2 seconds. Now you see me starting to struggle with those tier 7s, penetrating them frontally. We even bounced off the 34-100, which actually has rather good armor, especially when it's fully upgraded. So it's time to switch to APCR, which really should enable me to rip those guys apart. There we go, tier 7 heavy from the front, no problem. Of course, shooting at the sides. We won't need the APCR, though that previous shell that hit the turret of the T-34-100 would have probably bounced if we would not have used APCR there. Now, in order to maximize the potential of the Archer, I highly suggest using a gun rammer, binoculars and a camo net on it. The view range on the Archer is actually pretty damn good for a tier 5. You have 360 meters view range, and that means that together with a binocular and a decent crew, you actually will be able to see quite far away, which will help you a lot in case your team sucks at spotting for you. Now I decided to go back and support the other side, but the threat has been neutralized. So unfortunately it's time to turn around and then drive all the way back where I came from. And of course in the meantime, as soon as I left my position, our team melted and those guys can now advance on us. I mean, it's not really a dangerous situation. Both of them are on very low health, and that's an unfortunate bounce there from the front. So both of them are on very low health, and unfortunately in cover too, and you can't really go and assassinate these guys. I mean, you could try to do a drive-by, basically drive next to them and shoot them as you pass them, but it's a little bit tricky to do that. It's really easy to make a complete fool of yourself when you're trying to do that. Not to say that this thing has absolutely zero armor, so most probably you would already die trying to advance on them. So, unfortunately, we have to do a little bit more camping and just look how unbelievably slow this thing is when it tries to drive forward. It's really not something that you can do. I mean, I can switch in reverse to actually try to get into a position, but now my gun is facing the wrong way. So yeah, there goes the frustration.